Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Hola a todos, and welcome back to the unhinged, the undefeated, and the unbreakable TCP Live, coming at you live at 7:30 p.m. Apart from when Rohan is late.
1 minute.
Okay, it's still late. On YouTube and available ad-free on YouTube memberships and Patreon. Why were you 1 minute late, Rohan?
Gym tax.
It's unacceptable.
Gym tax. Come on, you gotta give me that.
How would you rate me as a? I'm not even going to say your boss, but as the organizer of the Cannon podcast?
It's pretty
Would you
chilled.
say I'm fair? Would you say I run a tight ship?
Because I reckon I'm the most punctual.
You probably are, yeah. I think you actually are. So you're at the gym. What were you doing?
Chest, shoulders, triceps, push day.
What's the? I don't really understand. When you say push, what are you pushing? Obviously, you're pushing weights, but like,
it's like
only you're not doing any pulling.
Yeah, you're not doing any pulling. Basically, pulling's more like your biceps and your back, isn't it? So, I mean, it's like triceps, for example, like tricep extensions. Actually, that's pulling, isn't it? To be fair,
that's what I mean. Because you're doing pulling actions.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Welcome back to TCB Live. Thank you all for being here. Hello, everyone in the chat. We love you all. 150 you're watching live already. Only a minute and a half in. 163. Wow, Rohan. People are here to talk about Arsenal, apparently. Do we have to?
Okay, 70 kilos. I think that's pretty decent.
What do you weigh?
70 kilos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I'm like 75, maybe nearly 80.
The thing is, if I go to like 75...
I'm 6 inches taller than you, to be fair, so...
Oh, yeah.
You look at the comments.
Yeah.
Tonight on TCP Live, we want to talk the Liverpool result. We are so back. We want to talk about the Kai Havertz injury. It's so over. We want to talk about what's achievable this season. It's so over. We want to talk about Isak. We're so back. We want to talk about Dauman. We're so back.
Let it go on Isak. Let it go.
No, I will not.
Let it go.
I will not.
Your overlap appearance, actually, we should rate that because we tend to... I've not even watched any of it, not gonna lie.
Can I say something? There's a quiz coming out tomorrow. Well, you
told me. You've already told me.
Yeah, right. So guys in the chat, can I say something? Can you all comment something really nice on the video? Because it's so bad. No, it's so bad.
Is it?
No, guys, like you all, we spend our time doing content and stuff. Please comment something. Like, say he tried his best. It's so bad, mate. It's can I say the ones I got wrong?
Go on then. Go on.
Okay, so fair enough. Don't know. He's gonna rinse me so hard. Fair enough. Where did Arsenal sign Arsene Wenger from?
Neo Grampus.
Yeah, I said Monaco. I'm an idiot.
It's okay. To be fair though, there is it's more of a pressured environment as well. Like,
mate, if I was sat here, no problem. But under the lights with Carragher and Scholes asking you questions,
How are you with exams in general?
Oh, bad. Yeah. I crumble.
That's what it is. That's 100%. What it is.
You're
more of a coursework guy then.
I'm a coursework guy. But no, think about different knock. Like I go away and I script everything, and I'm like, that's more, or when I'm comfortable on a live, whatever, I'm fine. But under pressure, I'm not good. And the other one was name 4 front of shirt kit sponsors for Arsenal, and I just forgot O2, just completely forgot. So I was going backwards, and I went Fly Emirates, and I went, I don't know that one in between who it was before, but I know it was JVC. Then someone was saying something. That's another thing. Another fan was saying something. I didn't know what he was saying, and that confused me. And
I wouldn't have got that. I'm not. So you know me, I'm not good with shirt numbers and shirt. I'm not good with shirt sponsors as well. I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. I should have known it though.
I think that one's a bit hard. I'm not gonna lie. The Arsene Wenger one's pretty bad.
It's bad. It's bad. I also got Mikel Arteta's first signing.
It was. Cedric.
No, I said that as well. It was Pablo
Pablo
Mari.
Mari said,
Yeah, it's Pablo Mari.
To be fair,
Yeah,
that's
it was tough. There was another one that was like Dennis Bergkamp and Ian Wright combined. How many goals did they score? I was like, how would I know that? And there was another one, like, who did Tony Adams score? I was like, bro, I was like 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know who Tony Adams is. I don't play for Arsenal. I watched a few of his games, but like I was 2 and probably a Man United fan at the time.
Oh dear.
Thank you for your. We've had some super chats in already. Alejandro, good morning, Alex and Rohan from California. Would both of you guys and from hang on. Oh, Alejandro, you give super chats all the time. I'll do them in an American accent from now on. Good morning, Alex and Rohan from California. I won't do it. From California, would both of you guys go to a preseason game in the USA by any chance? I knew Uncle Moisey had something for us. Come on, you Gunners.
I'd go.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'd go.
I mean, you and I still need to go to a game together. That needs to happen. That's actually one of my big resolutions. The problem is we do the instant reaction, and I really enjoy the instant reaction.
I don't do the instant
You
reaction.
don't. you bottle it.
I choose not to.
Some of the stuff you'd say. Yeah. Alejandro, if we are in the US, because I think last year a few creators went out to the US for the preseason tour. I also don't think it's in the US this year. I think it's somewhere else. Yeah, I think we're going to Australia or something.
Oh, I still got to wake up though.
If it's Australia,
yeah,
I genuinely might go. I know that wouldn't help you, Alejandro. Apologies, but I might go because I want to go to Australia, and if I can get a press ticket or something and get some brand to pay for it, I'd love that, mate. That'd be so sick.
Yeah. Oh, Australia does scare me though. I don't know how much it's media driven, but the creepy crawlies and stuff. Yeah, not snakes. It's the spiders. The spiders
creepy crawlies.
Nah, the spiders are massive though. Come on.
Are you a bit of a scaredy cat in general?
Yeah, I don't like roller coasters. I hate them. Absolutely hate them. Like I just don't like being in the air. I don't mind water parks though. Like I could do water parks.
I can imagine you on a slide.
Nominal.
I'm on a nominal slide.
In general, I'm a top swimmer. I can say that for a fact. I'm a top swimmer. Done all my badges, done life saving and everything. It doesn't really matter.
You were that kid whose mum sewed on all the badges onto your towel, didn't she? I bet she did.
Yeah. Although I did move down. I did move down
meters, 30 meters, 40 meters.
Oh my god! The transition though from like a red to purple hat. Goodness me, that was when you go in deep end. Deep end was the initial start of getting from shallow into deep end. That was tough. I moved down a hat. As well because I just wasn't good enough.
At your height as well. It's tough.
Oh yeah.
Benji Allen says, never played as a striker in my life, but I'm willing to sign as a free agent to get us over the line, boys. Benji, appreciate the super chat and I appreciate the offer. Look, someone George and I did a stream after the Havertz thing. Someone said it's a disgrace that we've not spoken about the free agents. Have you looked at the free agent list?
Oh, so I think that's right.
Have you looked at it? It is a disgrace. It's like Daniel Amate is the most like well-known player on that list.
Daniel Amate.
Yeah, there's nothing we could do. We had another one. I don't think we had another super chat. Oh yes, from Jim, who says, "Did Oz last year? Didn't see a single spider or snake." There you go, mate.
Maybe it depends on what regions you go into. I think, I think that's what it is, isn't it? Really. It's a long flight, though, isn't it, Alex? It's a long flight.
It's a long way. And if they spill orange juice on you again, you'd be fuming, mate.
And coffee.
And coffee. Quick thumbnail. And coffee. Quick thumbnail check before we get going. We've got 2 options. So, chat, you got to tell us what you pick. I believe this is EastEnders themed.
Yeah, it is. It is EastEnders.
Is that Ian Beale? Or is that Ian Beale?
I don't know. That's Phil Mitchell, isn't it?
That's Phil Mitchell.
Yeah.
Can he play centre forward? And that's Ian Beale.
No, I like that. That's actually I do like that.
He looks like a left back to me. So that's the first option. So let us know what you think about that one. And then the other option from Forder, who is cooked once again, is this one, which I think is my personal favourite. I think it's good. It's Arteta sort of in a haunted house, but this detail down here. Sorry we missed you. We tried to deliver your player, but there was no one home. Your driver Jason Ato will attempt again on Thursday, the 12th of June.
All right, yeah, that does slap.
I think
If
that's
you
good.
didn't have that bit, I'd go for the other one. But yeah,
I think that's really good. I think it's really good. I think we go with that one. Chat, let me know what you think, and I will. I'll put it as the. We can also remember you can request thumbnails, just to say.
Yes.
So if you want to do that, you can join our Discord. And how can you join our Discord, Rohan?
By signing up to become a Patreon member or a YouTube member.
Wow. Even remember the YouTube members. It's so good. Before we get going, got one more super chat from Emirates Era. Favorite Harry Potter film? Mine's the second one.
It's got to be the last one, hasn't it?
I like the one where Voldemort's on an island. Is that Deathly Hallows Part 1?
Oh no, I don't think so.
When he gets the Elder Wand, and then is it the Elder Wand or the Elder Stone? No, the Wand.
The wand.
And then he does like a black mark thing in the air, dark mark.
I'm pretty sure that's number. Isn't that number 4?
Chamber of Secrets slaps as well.
Yeah, that one is good. I actually think number 1's actually low key really good as well.
When they're all like delivering their lines like they're reading them. Harry, you're going to get us expelled.
Fun fact: I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
I have. I fell asleep. I'm not into
good.
it.
Not good.
I'm just not into it, and people are really into it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, even the Harry Potters. Like, I only recently watched the latest one, maybe like last year.
He's going
I'm
to
actually
sacrifice himself.
I'm really bad with films. Not gonna lie, I'm actually really bad.
Oh, sorry. Forder just texted me and said that's the context. It's Jaden Smith at the Grammys.
Oh,
I've not seen that. What is he
yes.
doing? What is he doing?
What-
He's an odd cookie, isn't he?
He's
He's a strange boy.
very strange.
I saw this interview with him. I like, fair enough. Look, if you interviewed me when I was 14, I'd also be like, you'd all hate me. You should probably still do hate me. But like, there was an interview with him, and he's like, it's like, oh, what sort of girls are you into? He's like, I really like intelligent girls, because some of the things that I say, you kind of have to be pretty intelligent to understand them. I was like, oh, get in the bin. Get in the bin. Right. Football. Soccer. What should we talk first? Liverpool. It's so over. I was at we're so back.
Or is it?
We're so back, or it's so over. Depends on what's just happened. But I was at a pub last night with my friend, my Liverpool supporting friend, and I couldn't hide it. I like, normally when I'm with him, I'm a bit like, oh, you know, obviously I'm an Arsenal fan, so I want, you know, I want us to win. But like, you know, if Liverpool score, I'm like, oh, nice goal. Like, I'm doing. Honestly, that Tarkowski goal went in. I ran.
Yeah, mate.
I was like,
yeah. It's literally the last kick as well. It's the last kick of the game. Oh man.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
And again, it's people online. It's not really people, but there's certain people online. If you're policing, a last kick of James Tarkowski at Goodison Park, the captain at Goodison Park in a Merseyside derby, the last one at Goodison Park. I mean, forget even the context, just a team scoring a goal that you can policing. But if you're policing it and you're saying, oh, they're celebrating too much, in that context, just find another sport. Genuinely find another sport. It's up to you.
It's
like,
not
just
even
go and watch something else.
Sport's not for you then. It's genuinely not for you. Like, it's such a miserable mindset. That's all it is. It's like, imagine trying to dunk on people being happy. It's like,
yeah, how dare you be happy?
How dare you be happy? Like, it's like, you know, when we beat Man City 5-1, I saw people saying like, oh, you know, because it was 5-1, Arsenal fans celebrated, you know, they went really big on their celebrations. If it was like 2-1, then maybe a bit too much. Even if it's 2-1, like, you won a game of football against the champions. Celebrate it. If it makes you happy, celebrate it. Like, I don't get it. I'm consistent with every single team in this in this regard. Like, and I just don't like it when players come out and they're really condescending. Like when Van Dijk came out and he said about how it's their cup final. It's like, come on, just stop. It's just not nice. It's so toxic. I hate it.
It's so embarrassing. I genuinely think it's one of those things where you have to be consistent with it. So you're basically league gunner. No one can ever celebrate anything until it's a Premier League title. or you just let everyone celebrate anything, and and just let people do what they want. And it's like I actually said this on the overlap, like the whole thing with Miles. I would understand if people were like, "Oh, I don't like an 18-year-old being cocky and whatever." Like, okay, that's fine. There's a conversation about why, but that which we should have at some point. But like, that's fine. But then you have to have that same energy for Mopé, have to have that same energy for Virgil van Dijk, have to have that same energy for Gabriel, have to have that same like this.
Yeah.
It has to be consistent. I love it. The thing that Virgil did when he went to pick up Richarlison and moved his hand away, I think that's so funny. More of that in the sport, please. It's hilarious, but be consistent. And there's maybe
By the way, though, with Virgil van Dijk, now one of the best centre backs I've ever seen in terms of completeness, but he gets away with murder.
Such a moaner,
mate. Honestly, he gets away with so much.
I'm not the Arsenal of victims guy. Like, I'm the opposite of that, right? Yeah. But I'm telling you, if Arteta did what Arne Slot did yesterday,
man.
Oh my God,
knives
out. Knives absolutely out. And it's because and again, people say that and then they don't include the context. They're top of the league. We haven't really seen that from Slot before. It's not allowed sort of the time to build up with him. But mate, no, if that was Arteta who did that, I'm telling you, the knives would be out.
No, I completely agree.
Kieran, can you change your picture?
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong. It's showing your fade.
I've got a fresh trim today. Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, I need one. I need one so badly. Oh, okay. Is that the drop down fade? Is it drop down fade?
It's like burst fade. I think we've had this conversation before.
Fade.
Yeah. Burst fade.
A lot of people like the taper fade as well, but I feel like taper fade just grows out really quickly. It's like you only fade a little bit there.
Yeah, I don't like
a little bit on the back. It's just
I like the feeling that you haven't got any hair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. That's what the kids are saying, isn't it? Kieran says Liverpool 6 wins in the last 12, 3 in 6 in the Premier League. Are we witnessing the downfall of Liverpool?
So I'm actually right. That I don't know about you, but that game just like brought a different level of confidence within me, even though our situation is absolutely awful. But I really want to talk about it. I actually think, right, there's a lot of the big narrative around Arsenal in terms of transfers. One a lot of people aren't happy with at times is that we don't recruit specialists. But I think the fact that we do recruit versatile players and our squad is very versatile plays into our advantage here. Now, obviously, it's not ideal. Any solution outside of our remaining attackers isn't ideal. But the beauty is that we've got a lot of players that we can use in different ways to get through the next couple of games at least. Because I think people are looking too far into the future. We've got Leicester and West Ham next, right? And by the time we play those 2 games, Liverpool would have had to play Wolves, Villa away, Man City at home. No, away. And then they've got to play Newcastle as well. If they drop points there, it starts to open up an interesting something.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
our next 3 are Leicester away, which...
Mate, they're awful. They're absolutely awful.
Yeah. West Ham at home, which again we should be winning. Forest away, which I think one of the most underrated performances of the season was Arsenal 3, Forest 0. We killed them, mate.
Do you remember what Ola Aina said?
Transition against us. Yeah. Not one moment.
Do you remember what Ola Aina said? Sorry to cut in, but Ola Aina went on that podcast. I don't know what it was called, and he was asked, and this was after that game, and he had played Man City, he had played Liverpool as well, he'd played Arsenal, and he was asked who's the toughest team that you came up against, and it's like it's Arsenal, because it's like when you're pegged back by a City and Forest, if you look at the numbers in terms of their intentions, they sit very deep. I think on average their defensive line is like right up there with the likes of Southampton in the league, because they've got such quality in transition. So they sit deep for prolonged periods and they suffer. And he says when you're suffering against City, it's like it's difficult, but you can see the whole game because they're moving it from side to side, and you can see it with Arsenal. It's like he said, they play on one side and you think they're going to switch, but no, they'll stay on that side and they'll bop it around really quickly, and it becomes really difficult for you to contain. He said we're the toughest team that he's came up against. So yeah. I actually think that game was
a good interview.
Yeah.
Liverpool at home to Wolves on Sunday. Then they've got to go away to Aston Villa and away to Man City in the same week.
Yes.
mate, if they and then they got Newcastle at Anfield the following Wednesday. So basically, in one whole week, 3 fixtures there: Villa away, City away, Newcastle at home. That's a very tough run. If we can sustain where we are, like I think this is pure copium. I'm going to be totally honest. I think the league's over. I do think the league's over. I think Liverpool have won the league, and we'll come on to the Havertz injury in just a second. I think it's over because we're not going. Even if Liverpool drop points, I don't think we have the quality to keep up. However, I think we can run it close. I actually do think we can run it close because I think if you look at this run of fixtures, I think Martinelli and Saka are slated, according to Athletic, to be back sort of end of March, which would be decent. And then we've got sort of 8 to 9 Premier League games where I think we'll have enough, certainly. As I say, I think Liverpool will win it, no problem. But I think this idea that we're going to drop out of the top 4 race and all this sort of stuff, I don't really personally buy.
No, I mean, I said it like on this pod when Saka went down. That was when I felt the league was done for Arsenal. Didn't mean that we could sustain. I didn't think we could sustain a challenge. I think we could absolutely do that, but I think losing your best player, like losing Saka, is the equivalent to Salah for Liverpool and Haaland for City, etc. But I think that with the fixtures that Liverpool do have coming up, I think our next 2 games, forget about Forest away, for example, win our next 2 games. I'd be shocked if it remains 7 points. Like, they're really difficult games. But unfortunately, the situation that we're in, I don't think we will be able to sustain a run like last season, unfortunately. And that's the big issue. But
I think so.
Let's make it interesting. Let's make it interesting.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we absolutely can. And by the way, like, I don't think the Champions League is completely done. I think it's possible. I think it's very hard, that Havertz and Jesus, but I think that chance has reduced less than the Premier League since that Havertz injury. But yeah, the Havertz, look.
I actually think the Champions League's going to be way harder.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think the Premier League, for me, just went out the window with the Havertz thing. I think there's still a chance in the Champions League, but I can't see it in the Premier League. But we'll see. I mean, also, just in terms of the game last night, I thought Liverpool obviously had their moments because, of course, they do, because they have the attacking talent that they do. Yeah. But again, I come away from it with 2 feelings. One, they're not impenetrable. It turns into a basketball game against Everton in terms of their ability to control games. I've still never watched Liverpool and gone, wow, they are on top in this game and this game and this game and this game. 5 in a row where I'm going, they've completely controlled every single game. Where I feel that with Arsenal, I don't feel that with Liverpool. And secondly, it's attacking talent. The ball drops to Salah. It's an unbelievable touch, and he puts it in the back of the net. And for the header, it's an unbelievable ball in again from Salah. If we can go out in the summer and sign Isak, or players who can get to that level, that's what we need. But we know that not the game model is the difference. The attacking talent is the difference, and that's something we can look at rather than changing the manager for.
Yeah, I mean, on the Liverpool point, I actually think, again, Michael Oliver, if we're being fair, Liverpool had some very poor decisions yesterday, like really poor decisions. But I actually felt Everton in general, they fully deserved a point out of that game for what they showed, and Liverpool have showed a lot of cracks recently. You look back to games against Fulham, for example. There was another game as well in which they recently dropped points as well. But they aren't this complete team that is being made out. Unfortunately, it's just due to the turbulence that we've had, and I'll maintain that, it has prevented us from getting closer and closer and closer to them. Like, I watched that game twice, Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Emirates. And a team that wasn't even our strongest team versus a Liverpool team that the only 2 players they had out for that game was Jota and Alisson. But Kelleher is a very good number 2, and we completely matched them. And it was the most unfortunate of goals to concede late on, when you've got a back line of Kivior, Miles Lewis-Skelly, and who else was there? Because Ben White, Kivior, Miles Lewis-Skelly, and Thomas Partey. So it's just such a shame that we've not been able to have a bit of fortune with the injuries that we've seen this season, which we'll probably get into. But
and that's only one factor. And I'm just bringing up the red cards. Again, this is a model, it's called the Dixon-Coles model, which is basically simulating the game from the point of the red card. So you could argue it up or down, but supposedly, according to this model, Arsenal are by far the team who've lost the most amount of points in terms of expected points due to red cards, with minus 4.3. And you could even just say It's completely not the injuries. It's completely not, fixture, whatever, any other factor. It's just red cards, and we'd be what, 3 points behind them, 2 points behind them. So,
well, I think if you take out Liverpool's, 3 points, like 3 points off, so it'd be what, 4 points, around 4 points to Liverpool in comparison to them on this graphic. So, and that's absolutely nothing. And this is what makes it even more frustrating, just in general, right? 7 points is not a big gap at this stage of the season. And this is why I'm looking at the January window, and it makes me even more angry, because it's like, this is what, when we did that live stream, for me, it's like, I know the players and Mikel are not going to give up on this season. You can see it from the attitude and the willingness. Even in that game against Newcastle, yes, we can look at the tactical approach, we can look at other things that Newcastle did better than us, but I can't fault the work ethic and the desire. What this team needed was help, and they didn't get that. And for me, it was kind of like a message from the board in saying that we don't really believe this season there's going to be much to achieve. So we're going to keep our powder dry, and we're going to go hard in the summer. I do think we'll go hard in the summer, but I don't like this idea of like wasting seasons halfway through when there is still opportunities there to take. And
absolutely.
Like, imagine we miss out on a couple of points, and and that could have been decided by a loan, like one loan. It's.
Yeah, well, we want to do a bit of a Q&A later. I'm sure this will come up. But I think George and I covered this quite extensively. Like, a lot of this, look, it's never single factorial, but a lot of this comes back to the Cronkies and the fact that they aren't willing to do something in the short term because it will affect their long-term plan. And that's a big issue. Sometimes you have to do short-term fixes. It just has to happen. And we don't do it under the Cronkies. Yeah. And it's a concern even for the future. Even if we go out and sign Isak, Semenyo, Zubamendi, Jarell Hato and Joan Garcia. Say that's our summer, right? But then if Saka falls over, I probably would want something on a, maybe you could get away with it. But let's say Saka, Rice, and Saliba all fell over. I don't trust that we go and do something in a short-term deal to deal with that in one season. We'd always prioritize. Okay, we're going to just, we've got the players, we'll get them back, and sometimes you need to do it, and it's a bit of a concern. Ivan Smith says Humpty Dumpty showed last night that he's a bell end. I didn't know Arne Slot had this nickname. I don't want to be mean. It's quite funny. It's quite funny. Thank you for super chat, Ivan and Josh. Thank you for your super chat. Who will be our lead goal scorer from now until the end of the season in all comps? Can I have a rogue shout here?
Go on.
Wanyeri.
Yes, a good shout.
I don't see his goal scoring slowing down. I don't see why.
Yep.
And I think he'll play until Saka's back, certainly. And then I think he might even play beyond that because I think he'll have an unbelievable bit of form now, and it'll be very hard to take him out of the team. I think.
Well, I'd probably go for Trossard. I actually think Trossard has looked really good over the past month. I think especially early in the season, Trossard was leaving much to be desired outside of that game against Villa, where he came on and changed the game. But I think in the past month, Trossard has been one of our unsung heroes in terms of, when you look at it, right, since Saka has gone down, Arsenal's record in the league is 1-6, drawn 2, lost none. I certainly didn't expect that.
So you're saying we don't need Saka?
No. But it's kind of like, I think the issue has been is the cup performances have really kind of like dented the way people have looked at this period without Saka. But if we look strictly at the league, we have done pretty well. And Trossard has been one of the guys who has stepped up. And I think he'll be important, very important from now to the season. I actually think with Raheem Sterling, right? Now with Raheem Sterling, no. I'm not letting no. Because I've always said here, and Lee Gunner's been on my case about this. I remember I did tweet something immediately after we signed him, and it's not the best, but so what? I've said it with Sterling. If you look at him through the left, it's a different player to the one at the right. Now again, the bar is very low. It's very low, but come on, Alex. He has looked better through the left. He has. Don't do this. Don't do this. He looks okay.
Okay, I tell you what. Yeah. He doesn't look as bad as he is on the left, on the inside a little bit. Yeah.
Do you not think against Girona, right? If we take away his penalty miss, and obviously there's a lot of frustration even in that game. Do you not think he looked good? I thought he looked good. Funnily enough, that front three against Girona is what we'll be playing against Leicester. Trossard through the middle, Sterling on the left, and Ranieri on the right.
Rohan. I
Yeah.
have something for you. I have something that I think you'll love.
You just don't like Sterling.
No, I have,
you don't like today's.
I have something that I think you'll love. This is you, right?
I'll tell you, listen, I think Sterling is
So
gonna do
on the left, he didn't look as bad as he is.
No, he actually looked decent against Girona. I stand by
I'm
that.
being,
I
I'm being a
stand
bit,
by that.
I'm being a bit facetious. He looked,
Yeah.
he didn't look as bad, and that's actually he looked okay. He
did look okay. I think when you put him on the right, I think he just doesn't. Sterling in his peak physically was fantastic as well, right? And when you played him through the right, he'd still have the capacity to create separation when the fullback knows he's going to go down the channel anyway. Now, whenever he's gone on the right, you see him. The fullback stands in 1v1. He looks to take it on the outside, and the fullback is able to get his body really quickly, shepherd him away, and the ball it goes out for a goal kick. And that happens time and time again. Whereas when you put him through the left and you have players around him, he has looked a lot better, especially when you've got when it's become very one touch. So I actually think Sterling with a Calafiori, for example, would be pretty good for what we have right now. I don't think Miles and Sterling would be the best partnership, actually. I think Calafiori would work better. So
yeah, I hear that.
You know, and
yeah,
But I do think also, Alex, we need to be creative outside of our actual attackers. I actually think we need to use Kieran Tierney a lot from now as well to the end of the season. I think his stocks are rising. Ben White as well. It's actually Arsenal's fullbacks could play the most important role from now to the end of the season, really. You know,
for sure. I think there's a possibility that Ben White has a massive impact on this season.
Yeah,
like huge. White, Miles, Calafiori, Tierney. Like there's a lot of scope there. Get Cedric back. You never know. Is Rohan stalling for anyone else, or is it just my
stalling? No.
Yeah, your audio's fine, but your video keeps freezing. But that could just be me. Can anyone tell me? I might be the one freezing. My internet hasn't been working today for some reason.
Okay, chat.
I'm
got
sure
my Logitech. Got my Logitech.
His Logitech. So the Havertz injury. I want to read something out. Apparently, you're fine. It's probably just my end. I want to read something out that I saw earlier, which I think is a very important thing to read out on this dear show, on this lovely, fine winter's evening. Henry Winter. Kai Havertz is the latest player to suffer a serious hamstring injury, which Arsenal confirmed today requires surgery. Nicholas Jackson has been ruled out until April. Joe Gomez and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are also out with the hamstrings. So is Gabriel Martinelli, while Mickey van der Ven has missed chunks of the season. The list goes on. The speed, intensity, and frequency of games comes at a price. The last major piece of medical research into the increase in hamstrings covered 01-02 to 21-22, looking at 54 teams in 20 European countries. It found that the proportion of injuries diagnosed as hamstring injuries doubled from 12 to 24% in 20 years. Even if some other injuries may have dipped in number, the message was clear: hamstrings were being damaged more frequently. 18% were recurrences. Hamstring injuries sustained in training rose from 6.7% to 12.5% from 14-15 to 2021. It carries on sort of talking about hamstring injuries as well. There's another article that I want to come to as well. From, I think it's You Are My Arsenal, who it's always certainly on their website. Just give me a second. Should I have prepped this earlier? Almost certainly. Here it is. Let me just get it up. It's got some good numbers in terms of the injury data, because I think this is important context. So, injury crisis data and trends. So analyzing injury patterns over the last 2 decades. This is according to the UEFA Elite Club Injury Study and multiple systematic reviews. This says hamstring injuries increased by 44% in the past decade. ACL injuries have risen by 30% with a higher recurrence rate among players who return too quickly. Muscle fatigue-related injuries are 20% more frequent. Re-injury rates for hamstrings exceed 35% in players who don't receive adequate rest between fixtures. Players in high-intensity positions suffer the most soft tissue injuries, and the Premier League has the highest injury rate per 1,000 match hours due to its lack of a winter break. And there's an injury table there. So, you can look around for numbers. This one is from the UEFA Elite Club Injury Study. And there's the data there if you want to have a look at it. And you could look at, other places, the one that Henry Winter was citing, etc. Point being, Look, I have a lot to put on the board for this injury, and it's massively on them, right? There's a huge proportion, but what I'm really pushing back on against at the moment is single factorial analysis. The reason Havertz got injured is Arteta, or the reason that we're in this crisis is because just bad luck, or the reason that we're, whatever. You get my take. The Havertz injury, I think the phrase was, this failure has many fathers. And this is just yet another factor. The injury rate is going up. The player's load is going up. I think we can have a look at the Arteta, his methodology and how many hamstring injuries we've got so far this season in terms of the amount of pressing we're doing and the running data that we're aware of. And I'd love to see more publicly available running data. I think you can look at the players that we sign in terms of, are they sort of robust enough? The Tomiyasus and the Zinchenkos, etc. You could have a look at that. You could have a look at the Kroenkes and whether they invested or not in January or not. I actually don't mind where you look. I just find this single factorial, it's this stuff really hard to deal with. And I think we need to be really careful when we're discussing this Havertz injury to not just put it all on one thing. To finish this, if I had to pick one thing that was the most major, I would be looking at the board, because ultimately you have two players who fell over, who did 9,000 minutes in the last year and a half, as I've mentioned, in Isak and Jesus, and they didn't replace them. So you're putting a lot of injuries into them. They came to that game where he was against Wolves and he literally couldn't carry on, Kai Havertz. But just putting it all on them as the only reason, I think is short-sighted. Where do you sit on all that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much on the board, because I think we've done a lot on that in general, right? So everyone knows what our thoughts are on that. And I think, it all does go back to them in terms of how, okay, the fixture schedule is gruesome. So you have the opportunity to ease the burden that is placed on some of these players' shoulders, Kai Havertz being one in particular, especially when you had the news of Saka and Gabriel Jesus going down. So I think that is something that it's a very difficult pill to swallow. But in general, I find it very difficult. And again, it's kind of like, I'm not in this industry, in terms of the medical side of things. So I find it very difficult to be very confident in my opinion. So that's why, that what you shared earlier today from Henry Winter was actually really interesting. And this is also really interesting now. And it kind of like confirms the thoughts that I had in terms of how the driver is the fixture schedule, and the number of games that we're having to play. Like I keep saying it, this January, we played 9 games in comparison to 3 games last January. That's crazy. That's 3 times more the number of games, on top of playing 120 minutes within that against Manchester United as well. So that is the driver, and this isn't exclusive to Arsenal. Look at Tottenham. Tottenham have been decimated with injuries, right? We kind of like, we banter Ange and all this, etc. And they shouldn't be where they are anyway. But he is not as bad as what the table suggests. The driver there has been the injuries. Now, again, they could be better, but the number of players they've had gone down this season is crazy. And then you go to other teams as well, like Aston Villa, Brighton as well. So this is a trend that you're seeing. But I think one of the things that people have mentioned a lot is that Arteta's demands out of possession is what's causing these hamstring injuries. And I don't agree with that. I generally don't agree with it, because firstly, you're seeing a trend throughout the league of hamstring injuries that are occurring, But mate, also,
do you not? Sorry to cut you off, but do you not? I don't even like that formulation. Arteta's out of possession demands are causing the hamstring injury. Well, hang on a minute. They might be contributing, but just saying that's the only reason. But you also can't totally discount it. It has to be all put together, is my point.
It does, but but this is where football has gone. There's a lot of familiarity in how teams play now. Every single team looks to press high. Every single team. So this is the trend in football, and that is the way in which you're going to be able to play with sustainability, especially towards the top end of the table. And actually, right, there's a lot of really good data from Data EPL Analytics, and he looks at PPDA.
My best friend.
Right? Our best friend. But he looks at PPDA and he compares it for the entirety of the league. PPDA is a really good way to look at the intensity of a press. Arsenal are not at the top end of PPDA. I think they're around about 8th or 9th, because we look to lure teams in, right? Forget about the actual details, but that should give you an understanding of Arsenal not as intense in their press as you think. Arsenal very calculated in their press. And I've always felt since the 22-23 season, Arsenal's pressing intensity has dropped off, but our level of effectiveness has still maintained, and it's actually got better as well because we brought better players. We brought players like Declan Rice, who is the best midfielder out of possession in world football, who can do that ability to kind of stand between a pivot and mark two players. So I actually think that using the pressing intensity as a way of, using that as a way of saying Arteta is a big part to this, I think it's not fair, how you can't quantify that as well when you make those sorts of claims, so it's a really difficult one to look at, but I find it very, I don't like that when it's looked at Arsenal's press as being the reason why the hamstring injuries have increased. And also Arsenal's press is what has got them to the level that we are at right now, so it's
that it has to be contextualized, that as you're saying, and also teams have different characteristics and flaws and whatever, and I think maybe where I would look beyond that is, okay, but if the press is what's making us so successful, why haven't we recruited players who could deal with those demands and recruited enough players so that we're not, having these players out. No, but that's what I'm looking at, and that would be my question, because ultimately you have to recruit to the manager's needs and what the game model is. My point is two things. It's multifactorial. But also, I'm not trying to say that to be like, so therefore let's not put any blame on anyone or not sort of come down on anyone. No, you have to pick a reason. My reason is the board. That's the reason I look at, and I say you have not replaced fundamentally 9,000 minutes in the team, and you've expected that to go somewhere else, and that's fallen on Kai Havertz. That's fallen on Ethan Nwaneri. You didn't do enough. That's for me the main factor. But again, as I say, I push back on. It's completely not also a look at Arteta's methodology, or it's completely not luck, or it's completely not this. It's like they have to be sort of put in. And then when so we have the conversation about the board, as you say, you go, the board should have done something. But then we have to start saying, okay, but there's other factors here as well that we need to talk about. And I think we have to accept luck is a part of it. Luck is a part of it. Also, the fixture congestion is a massive part of it, and something that I would love to look at sort of more long term. Sometimes people also just make mistakes. A physio can analyze some data and say, I think he's, the red zone isn't something that comes up on Kai Havertz's arm as a red light. It's built into his arm, is it? It's something that you have to look at in data and say, like, I think he's in the red zone based on this. Sometimes you might interpret that data wrong. And also your methodology might not be quite right to make sure you have the right data that's coming out at the end, et cetera, et cetera. So many mistakes can happen. I just think, in any analysis of this, it all needs to be put together. And I think for me, Arteta is somewhere near the bottom. Yeah. And people will say, oh, of course he is because he's your mate. No, like honestly, Arteta has signed largely robust players. I think his rotation this year has actually been pretty good. His training methods may be intense, but we've known that for 5 years. I think in terms of he's missed out on a number of targets, and you don't know what the physical demands that he might have put on those players are, or what he might have gone for those first targets because of the physical demands and has had to settle for someone who's less physically capable to do his football. I find it quite hard to come to this is all Arteta's fault. End of story. I think there's something in it for him. Maybe we can have a look at it. But ultimately, a lot of that, looking at Arteta and his training methods, is guesswork. We don't really... Someone's saying to you, this is Arteta and his training methods. Okay, how do you know that?
That's what I'm saying.
How do you know that? Because you don't have the running data. You aren't in training. You don't know how the players respond. You don't know what the physical data is saying. You realistically, last season, we had really good injury luck. So you're looking at an outcome rather than assessing the process. And therefore I'm going, until you know that, it's very hard to make that assessment. And wouldn't you look further up the chain and say the board didn't replace players? That's surely the first point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And this is why I think it's a very difficult topic to be really confident in. And that's why I think the only time I've really spoke about this with a bit of confidence is after reading those two articles. It's... But in the grand scheme of things, this is a very difficult problem that has occurred because of the COVID outbreak. I said this to George. The COVID outbreak meant that we had to move the World Cup, and the World Cup was happening midway through the season. Then we needed to finish the fixtures for that season, and then pre-season's been shortened, and it's this never-ending cycle that has happened in which pre-season is just not long enough. and players are being rushed back, and then they're also playing these international games, some of these stupid tournaments as well that are just pointless. They have pointless international friendlies as well, and then it's a difficult situation where, as a fan, you're like, just sit this one out. For example, Rice, Saka, Saliba, But then from a player's perspective, they're like, well, playing for my country, I'm not going to be able to do that forever. These are opportunities that I can't miss. Yeah. So it's this never-ending cycle where ultimately there needs to be a break, and I just don't think that's going to happen because of the money involved in football. So
we saw that on the article that was there in terms of the Premier League versus the other leagues. The Premier League has the average rest days is 3.5. La Liga is 4.1, and the Bundesliga is 5.2 because they have 34 games as opposed to 38. They have less cups. They have a winter break, and look, this, as I said earlier, this failure has many fathers. Fundamentally, my biggest factor is the board. I am looking at Arteta and his training methods, but I'm aware of how little information I have. I'm looking at the Premier League and how many games they're playing. I'm looking at the profile of players we're signing and the robustness. I'm looking also at just luck. Frankly, sorry, I know it's boring. No one wants to hear it, but luck is a factor in this. If you stretch your leg this way rather than that way and you stretch your hamstring, well, that's it, isn't it? And unfortunately, it has to be factored in. So it's really hard. It's really hard. And then we come out, and ultimately the outcome is we miss out on a title potentially, and people are angry and they want to look for someone to blame. But
especially when people are looking at the length of Arteta being here, a lot of people don't care about the context. That's how they view football, and that's just how they are, and they're not going to change. And when it comes to the end of the season, and you look at Arsenal, FA Cup, no, not won that. Carabao Cup, no, not won that. Champions League, Premier League, no, not won that. It's considered a failure because of the time he's been here, and people don't care about the context. And this is why I always go. I tweeted that and said, your perspective on Arteta depends on your levels of patience. That's what it comes down to. Your tolerance levels. It all boils down to that. And like, for example, if you've looked at these past 5 years and you look at the cup performances and say that that's not good enough, I've seen no evidence to suggest that Arsenal are going to be better under Mikel Arteta in the cups, and they also have the mindset of Arsenal have not got over the line in 2 successive title challenges. They all feel he's hit his ceiling, so I don't have the patience for that anymore. Whereas someone like us two and George, for example, and many in the chat as well, it's like, well, we see the process, we see the ideas, we see the game model, and we believe with a manager who's only 5 years into management in general, there's a lot of growth there and there's a lot of potential. So you have higher tolerance level, don't you? So
yeah, no, for sure. Tevin, sorry, I missed your super chat earlier. What if Nwaneri goes Yamal level? Optimistic still. Well, in terms of his goals involvement per minute, he's better than Yamal, I think.
Cash it in on Leicester. Cash it in,
mate. A little Nwaneri hat-trick against Leicester would sort me out. Tell you what else would sort me out: a Rashford remontada against.
Oh
Liverpool. That would be for my narratives.
Because you love Rashford, don't you?
Oh yeah, he's my best mate. James Wright, are you guys worried about us renewing contracts? The only bit I'm worried about is I hope that the board and those behind the scenes are saying to the Rices and the Sakas and the Salibas and Gabriels, we're going to go big in summer, and here's who we're getting, and here's kind of who we've agreed upon that this is pretty much going to happen. Because otherwise, wouldn't you be sat there as a player going, what just happened? You didn't replace anyone that fell over, and you expect us to compete on the same level. Like, why Man City went out and spent £200 million. On some, I'm not saying that's the only factor and therefore they would leave because of that, but they must be thinking, So I hope the board are there saying in this contract negotiation, saying, look, this is what we're going to do this summer. We maybe recognize the mistake we had. And this is something we discussed yesterday with George about the communication. I would love them to come out. They never will, but I'd love them to come out and say, look, we know we messed up. We've learnt lessons about not being so long-term all the time. We're going to be more short-term, be more prepared to go short-term. And we're in negotiations now, and we're going to sort it out for the summer. And we've got both a short, medium and long-term plan for whatever eventuality.
Especially when you see Declan Rice when he came out post, I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Ipswich or someone. No, it wasn't Ipswich, it was a little bit later than that. And he's saying, the manager. Spurs, you're right, Spurs. And he says about Kieran Tierney coming on left wing. That is as explicit as you can be as a player. And I have a lot of patience with Mikel because I see the potential and the growth. But we said this before. The reality is football is a very harsh sport and there is not a lot of loyalty to it. If Arsenal do not win anything in the near future, players will leave. And that is how it works. And Real Madrid, the pinnacle of football for many, they come knocking. For someone like William Saliba, who is a generational talent, he is the top centre-back prospect, at least if we were, out there in the world, hands down. Of course they'll be interested in him. And of course he'd be interested in going as well, even though he was a boyhood Arsenal fan. That is the reality. And that's where there is pressure to get over the line. And that comes from the ambition from the board with what we're going to do in summer, because I'll maintain it. I think tactically Arsenal are fantastic. We have issues against certain teams, as we saw against Newcastle. And that's why I don't think we'll win the Champions League. I don't think we'll do... I just don't think we'll be able to go past the likes of Atletico Madrid, for example. But the driver is attacking quality and bringing in greater depth there. And you can see it with the expenditure since Mikel's came to the club. We have not invested heavily in our front line. So that is the big decider for me. And
Yep. Falcao. Also, there's some breaking news from David Ornstein. Nico Williams is open to join the Premier League and Barcelona are not there to sign him. His release clause is about £46 million.
What's his wages would be like 300, weren't they?
£46 million. Good. We're going to come to a bit of a Q&A later on, but first I want to talk what's achievable this season. I want to talk Isak. I want to talk Dauman as well. My internet's really annoying me because I can't. You've just frozen.
I think you're fine.
Yeah, but you're just frozen, and I want to see your beautiful face. It's making me sad. It's making me very sad. Well, let's do this. Based on the Havertz news and based on the fixtures and everything, I guess. What do you think is achievable this season?
I think Arsenal can still compete in the Premier League. I firmly believe that. I think we can navigate through our next fixtures because the big thing for me is I think Liverpool will drop points, but I don't think Arsenal will do enough to capitalise. But that's where I think we can still compete. If I had the feeling that Liverpool would go on a massive run, then I'd say Premier League is done. I think we're very comfortable in finishing the top four. I think we'll get second comfortably, even with the crisis that we have in attacking areas. In terms of the Champions League, I've not really looked too much into it, but I think we're in the side of the draw where we can play PSV, Juventus, Real Madrid, Man City, isn't it? Or
I think it's the other side.
Is it the other
side? I
side?
think we're like Leverkusen and Atletico and stuff. Let me look it up.
Yeah, we ain't beating Atletico Madrid, I'll tell you that now. We are not going there. We are not beating them. It's just with our attacking front line, we are not going there.
Yeah, it's not happening. Yeah.
I think we could get to the... I think at a push, we could get to the semi-finals of the Champions League. At a push.
I think because we've not lost... I think we'll be scraping through if we do. But I think we can get quite far in the Champions League. I've got a good feeling about the Champions League. I don't know why. I think because we're secure, we're just not... Like, the firepower isn't there. But I think if we got Saka and Martinelli back by, let's say, the quarterfinals, I think we'd be okay.
I need to see the draw. I need to see what side of the draw we're in, actually, for me to think about
Saka, Ethan, Martinelli front three. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
we're cooking something.
The problem is for me, it's the teams and how they set up. They're our biggest kryptonites. Atletico, Inter Milan. I know Inter Milan. I felt on the balance of play we should have won that game, but Inter Milan had quite a few players out in that game as well. And it's always going to be difficult over two legs. These are games that they're going to be so close. And I just think that we won't have enough in those because there's no evidence in front of me that I've seen us do well against those types of teams. That's the worry. That's why I actually think the Premier League is more possible than the Champions League.
Yeah, I suppose there's more variables in a way. Yeah.
But there's also luck as well. Luck could work more in our favour in the Champions League for sure.
Yeah. And just the quality's higher, which obviously affects us too. But I think we've played more of the quality. I think there's a lot of quality left in the Champions League, and I think we've played a lot of the quality so far in the Premier League. So that might go for us. Super chat from James Wright, who says, "Would you guys ever host a live event?" I think we should do this. I've been saying this for a while. The problem is, there's no one who's going to do it for me, so I just need to organise it. I had this moment the other day. I was doing something, and I was in a room, and I was in like directing the room, and then people were like, "Oh yeah, we need to get it's quite cold in here. Like we need to sort out the AC." And everyone's like, "Yeah, we should." Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, we should definitely sort out the AC." Oh wait, I have to do that. Yeah, right, okay. And it's just this thing of growing up and being like, right, I have to be the person to organise it. So I will organise this. In fact, that's something I'm going to write down to start getting the ball on this week. Do you know what I want to do? I want to do like me, you, see if we can get George over if we can, like Faisal, Babs, like James B from Gooniverse. Like I would love to get like a group together. I think that'd be sick.
But
I've been talking about that for ages. I need to just do it. Frankly, I need to just do it and just get on with it. Frankly, so I'm just gonna write that down. Tell you what we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we cover Isak and Dauman, that's fine. I want to get to as many questions in the last half hour as we can. I want to get to as many questions as we can, and also we're gonna start with Rohan solo because I'm gonna I can't deal with you just being paused. It's stressing me out. So I'm gonna reset my router. I'll be back in about a minute and a half. Are you okay to just take the first question? And I'll be back when I can.
Where's the... Oh, I'll go actually read. Okay.
So you have to read, unfortunately. So I'll be back. Dave Richards, what you both need is a barber, not on the pipe. Oh, I see. Dave, my hair's nice. Leave me alone. Look at this.
I mean, I do need a haircut, to be fair.
We need a hairline reveal from you, is what we need.
My hairline is enough. What certainly makes sense.
Thoughts on Tim Lewis's high taper fade?
I call it the reverse skin fade.
Right, back in a minute and a half.
Cool. Right then, let's have a look. From Kieran, mentioned Wanyeri, Nelly, Saka, front three. How does that work? Well, I think the issue that I have with this is we have a manager who has not really used Martinelli as we haven't really used Martinelli as a number 9, barring recently, which is the 22-23 season when we went down 2-0 against Bournemouth and Martinelli went up front and he was cooking. I actually do think that he's got a lot of potential there. But I just think with Mikel's comments over recent times, I think it was after Ipswich, which he mentioned how Martinelli needs to be on the last line. He needs to have players around him, constant threat. And when he's mentioning Martinelli consistently needing to be on the last line, that is never going to be the number 9 at Arsenal in this moment of time. When we look at the way that we use the number 9, it isn't someone who is consistently on the last line. There has to do a lot of other responsibilities. And in the current setup that we have, that's just not something that is going to happen. But I would genuinely love to see that for sure. Wanyeri false 9 though is interesting because Mikel has mentioned that he can play that role, and I actually think that there's good potential there, especially with how he's able to receive and not have any sort of bias on either side of the pitch. He can float really well through the left and the right, and that is something that is very crucial when you're playing in that role, as we've seen with Trossard do it in previous times as well. So. Yeah, but I think I think that would actually work well, Martinelli up front, but I just don't think we would actually ever see that happening. Let's go to another question. If you were the new director of football, who would you look to sign and sell this summer? I actually think we've got a lot to do this summer, and people won't like this, but we actually do need another left back. Because I'm looking at Zinchenko and Kivior as 2 players who I'd absolutely look to try and get out the door. I think Kivior, a lot of people felt I've been quite harsh on Kivior. I just don't see him as a Premier League level defender for what Arsenal need even as third, fourth choice. I think with Kivior, a lot of his weaknesses coincide with what we expect from our centre back, left centre back in particular, and also at left back as well. There are weaknesses that he possesses that will just get exposed, and we've seen it many times as well. And with Zinchenko, I think with Zinchenko, he is someone who we look at when he came to the club, and we look at what Arsenal needed. He's done a very good job in terms of what the squad needed in that moment, the evolution, the change from a specific structure to one that incorporated a natural inverted fullback. But now we've gone past him as well. So I think that you've got two players who are going out there. So Arsenal need to recruit a left back in. Who that is, I'm not sure. And you're back.
I'm back, baby.
Can I just get a tissue? I'm bleeding.
No.
Well, he froze again. Can you hear me? Oh, God. Come back. Come back, quick. Yeah, he's gone. He's absolutely gone. Where was I? Yeah, back to the question. In terms of bringing in, I actually would really like Arsenal to get Sesko. He's been someone who I feel is one of the best prospects in the world at centre forward, and I think you don't want to be in a situation in which we've seen with Alexander Isak, in which the finances become so excessive. And I know Alex is very big on the idea of Isak coming, and he thinks that's a big possibility. I just don't see that, and I think when you have a talent like Sesko and you don't get him early, you then have yourself in a situation in which it becomes an Alexander Isak type. Let me get rid of him. Actually, he's not even. What's he doing? He's back.
Right, is that working?
Yeah, that's working. Yeah,
stressing me out. Why am I on cup and string Wi-Fi? What's going on? I think I'm actually officially back now. You look
yeah, you are back. You are back.
You were slagging me off about Isak. What were you saying?
No, I'm gonna get a tissue. 1 sec.
No! Don't duck! Don't.
I'm bleeding.
I'm
actually
bleeding.
I don't. So in the gym, I clipped my finger on the locker. So 1 sec. Back in a minute.
Okay. Bye.
Turn my camera off. Yeah.
Why are you turning your camera off to go get a tissue? What are you doing? What are you really doing? Sorry about this, folks. I think I'm back now, so I think we're all good. But for some reason, I've got cup and string Wi-Fi. Yeah, we're going to come to as many questions as we can. I want to talk, I want to talk down. I want to talk Isak, the summer, and so on and so forth. But yeah, we'll come to as many as we possibly can. Right,
Isak, yeah?
What were you doing?
What? As in, what was I doing right now? Or...
Show me the tissue. Oh, Jesus Christ! What do you do?
I don't even know. Like I was actually I was midway through a set, and I just saw like blood on the dumbbells. I thought, what the heck?
What are you doing at the gym?
No, so my locker, the locker when I put my bag in, I clipped my thumb as I was closing it.
Okay.
It didn't hurt, but yeah.
Right. Why don't you think we can't sign Isak? Why are you such a negative Nelly?
It's not happening, Alex.
Why not?
They're gonna ask for crazy money, mate. They're gonna ask for like
what money?
140 million minimum.
No, they won't. No,
they will.
Right. Okay.
Why do they need to sell?
Put it this way.
Yeah.
If Newcastle don't get the Champions League, he will want to leave. He is a Champions League level player. He's going to want to leave. And by the way, my point is, if they do get Champions League, it's almost impossible. And I would agree with you. It's almost impossible. And it's going to be 140, 150 million. There's no point doing it. You just go and get Šeško and you wait basically for him to become that level of talent. But if they don't get Champions League, he's going to push. He's going to want to leave. I can't imagine ultimately there just aren't that many locations where he could go. And if he's pushing to leave to go to a Champions League club, he can't go to Man City because of Haaland. He can't go to Real Madrid because of Mbappe, Vinny, and Rodrigo. He can't go to Barcelona because they can't register him. He can't go to Bayern because they have Harry Kane. Where else is he going in terms of top level, challenging for titles every single season clubs? Arsenal have proved they want to spend £100 million. We know Arteta is a massive fan. We know how much sway he has. I'm not saying it would be 100. happening for us.
It's gone.
I don't.
Oh, you went again. You
I
just,
went.
you just froze.
Oh,
No,
for
you're back.
goodness
You're back
sake.
now. You're back now. You're back now.
My point being, I
Yeah.
absolutely see it happening. I absolutely see it happening because the locations, because of the Champions League, because where else would he go?
Doesn't he have two? How many years left does he have on his contract? I think it's 2 or 3,
3.
isn't it?
3, yeah.
Mate, like we know what's happening between Arsenal and Newcastle as well now. They're going to be demanding. I'm telling you, they're not going to be demanding 110, 120.
Okay, but you go.
Yeah.
Okay, you go into that. Let's say because we know in terms of Liverpool, in terms of their spend, I can't see Liverpool spending that kind of money. We have proved we're going to spend that money. Okay, we've proved we will do that. I can't see Liverpool spending 100 million. If Isak is pushing to go to a UEFA Champions League club, and he's basically saying, I won't sign a new deal. And if they haven't got Champions League, they probably won't be able to support themselves to push themselves to that next level. They might see it as, okay, I think we need to sell you this summer as max value. Otherwise, we're starting to go into 70 million, 60 million, probably following summer. We're going down. Arsenal can walk into those negotiations and say, we have a deal basically on the table for a Benjamin Šeško for 60, 70 million pounds. We don't need to do this deal. But we're happy to offer you for a player that wants to leave, and this is all conditional, for a player who wants to leave, who's pushing to leave, who wants to come to a Champions League club, we can offer you a record-breaking Premier League deal, 120 million pounds. If you don't sell him now, that's fine, but you're banking on getting Champions League next year, which again, you might not get, and his value is tanking and tanking and tanking. You'll probably get half price by next summer with 2 years remaining on the deal.
He'd have to push for the move massively for it to be a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that, but I just don't see that, and I also don't even think.
Why wouldn't he push if he didn't get Champions League?
Because I think he could see. I mean, how old is he? Isak's 21, 22, isn't he?
Sorry, he's 26.
20. Oh God, yeah, he is, isn't he?
He's 26, mate, and this is his time, and this is part of my point. He needs to go somewhere.
Possibly, but I just don't think Arsenal will.
What about your kidney?
What
about your kidney? And also, I tell you what,
everyone's saying this. It's all talk.
Another thing as well is. Sorry, I'll just seen a comment that's got my eye. Liverpool offer over 100 million for Caicedo, but that's a need that they had. Especially if this is another factor. If Salah stays as well, the amount of money they're putting in, which I think is going to happen, the contract's been offered apparently. If Salah stays, there's no way they can justify that outlay. Nunez was going to go unless they signed what's his face, John Duran. And maybe Nunez goes, and then they think, okay, we can spend 100. But unless that happens, which was going to happen, and then they literally went with someone else. I can't see that happening. So look, I don't know, but I find it very hard to believe that Liverpool will put Van Dijk on the wages he wants, Salah on the wages he wants, have Salah, Diaz, Jota, Gakpo, Nunez, and Chiesa, and then go and spend 130 million pounds on Isak. I can't see that happening.
Do you know what?
We have a clear need. We can also sell to him. You are the guy to get us over the line. You're number 14 at Arsenal.
Let's say Liverpool win the league, right? Which is a very likely scenario. And it's two teams who are on the table for Alexander Isak, Arsenal and Liverpool. There is no way Alexander Isak is picking Liverpool anyway.
Exactly.
Listen, Liverpool, I don't like this, right? Because it's what Jamie Carragher said, and I saw that bit of it. Like, people don't realise the magnitude of Arsenal. This is the biggest club by a margin in the capital of the country. It's like, it is, and there's so many other factors as well to it. Arsenal will always be more attractive than Liverpool for most players right now. I can guarantee.
I do agree with that. I think that the only people who disagree with that would probably be people who,
as of today,
are people who maybe are from that area, which I would hear. But if you're a foreign player, Arsenal, I'm sorry, they are more attractive. I'm sorry.
They are, mate. They are. Just.
This is a good point, Alex Osborne, and you regularly make good points, Alex. You should start a channel. Again, it would be totally foolish for us to spend 130 million on one player when it's proven we need quality depth across the front line. That's why we shouldn't be signing Isak, but spread it on 3 players. This I hear. This I do hear. So this is a debate. This is a debate worth having, right? Should we spend 130 million pounds on a player? For me, obviously, it depends how much you rate a talent. This is the best striker on the market. Done. That's who he is. For me, that is worth capping out at about 120, 130. When you're talking 150, forget it. There's no point, even if he's the best player in the world. If you're spending that kind of money, you just don't need to spend that kind of money. But if Arsenal are ready to spend, let's say 120, 130, and can get other stuff done, I think the message it sends to go and get the best player on the market is really important for me.
It's a big intention, but let's put it this way. Let's say, right, Arsenal spend 130, 40 million Alexander Isak, but then they sign no other attacking players.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, this is the camp I've been. I go and look my tweets. 2022, I said Arsenal should sign Alexander Isak. Invest early in the talent before the fee becomes excessive. And it's the same with Sesko. And this is why I want us to go for Sesko in the summer. I know Arsenal are in a moment in which they need to win now, but I don't think it's a good idea to walk away from talent that you will end up regretting in the near future, in which the finances become excessive. It literally could be another Alexander Isak situation. The fact that people are frustrated about this is the fact that Arsenal could have got him earlier, and that's the big frustration. So
absolutely. And my point is not Arsenal at all costs go and sign Alexander Isak. My point is it's achievable. Yeah. This is the thing I'm pushing back against. It's just not achievable at all. No, it is achievable if a certain set of criteria are met, and I think it would be a decent option. But if you're going to hamstring the rest of the squad, don't do it.
Yeah,
it's going to be over 130 million pounds. Don't do it. If it's going to be, if you're going to break your back to do it and spend all summer chasing that and then not get everything else done, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? You go through that, but he is the best striker on the market, and if he's available and pushing and wants to come to us, and we can get it done for 120 million. Bosh, do it 100%. The message that would send, but I think I said this earlier, but I might have cut out. We can go in there going, we've got a 70 million pound deal for the next Isak on the table. We don't need this set. We don't, and maybe they'll say, well, we don't need to sell them. Great, okay, see you later then. I'm not at all saying that we should do everything. Super chat from Anurag, who says, not saying Arteta out, but Slot first season, Conte first season, Company first season, all top of the league with teams that didn't win last year. Flick 2 points behind Real. I'm not Arteta out, but maybe new ideas sometimes help. I hear this, but in terms of the other two, Conte and Company, they're just in different leagues, mate. Like the level of the Premier League, the difference in terms of
Conte first season, he's referencing the Prem.
No, I think he's talking about Napoli.
No, because Chelsea won the Premier League in their first season. I'm pretty sure he's mentioning Chelsea.
I think he's referencing because Company's top. Because I think
because he grouped maybe yeah.
I think he's doing it contemporarily. So yeah, I think that's what you're saying. But I'll assume that's what you're saying. If you're not, then fine. But with Conte and Company, that I think Conte's probably doing a better job than Company. Like being top with Bayern.
Yeah.
With Slot, that's fair. I think you can absolutely look at Arteta and say, I think you can look at Liverpool and say they have 4 all-time Premier League players, but equally, he's doing very, very well in his first season with his club. I would then also factor in the difficulties that Arteta's had. I actually think Arteta's done a maybe better coaching job, arguably, this season than last season, in terms of games we've been outclassed in, Newcastle away.
Yeah.
That's the only game I've gone. They have tactically done
Newcastle in general.
Newcastle have done us this season. They've tactically done us this season.
I actually agree with that. I agree. Like if I look at other games this season that we've dropped points in, I don't come out of it and think, wow, we tactically not got it right. It's that Newcastle game. I'll maintain that. Good pick out, Alex. But in general, also
sorry, just to make the point. Last season, Villa, Fulham.
I wouldn't agree with Villa. Fulham, yeah. I think Villa. You play those games like 9-10 times. You win them 9 times. Fulham, I completely get. Fulham at Craven Cottage. That was an outclassing for sure. You could put fatigue to it as well, but it was an outclassing. But yeah,
Pep as well away at the Etihad. They were better than us that day. We got out there with a draw, but they were better than us that day.
Yeah.
We were better than Pep both times.
Yep.
This season.
We matched Liverpool, if not were better than them on the day this season.
So I think coaching wise, we've done better this season. I think other things have got in the way. And we even look at that, just the red card thing has taken 4 or 5 points away.
But this is what I
But
mean, mate.
Slot's done really well in his first season, and we absolutely can be looking at Arteta. I think it's fair.
But this is what I mean when I say, and people don't want to hear it, and it's fair enough. But tactically, we are a fantastic team. There are things that, again, like I've mentioned already on the stream, that are our kryptonite. But tactically, in general, we are fantastic. There are things that we need to take us to that next level. And to this super chat as well. I mean, you look at the squads that they're working with, and also the experience that they've had already in their career. Right, this is still a manager who's only been 5 years into coaching, and he's doing a very good job of it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this picture earlier, and I do like. It gave me interesting vibes, and this is quite sort of what's the word, niche analysis, but I'm going to try it anyway. Players like Rice and Gabriel, Liverpool are full of them. Virgil, Salah, Alisson, I'd say even Konate, Trent, Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, guys who I think just absolutely 100% believe in themselves and believe that they are the best player in the world and they're going to win. Yep. And we have Rice, Gabriel, Saliba. Who else thinks that they are the best in their position in the world?
Rice, Gabriel, Saka.
But as in show, I don't think Saka would say that himself. I think he'd say it was.
Oh,
Salah.
right. Sorry. Okay.
My point is the kind of the aura and it's the
Raya.
maybe Raya. Yeah, maybe Raya. Yeah. But the guys who would say to themselves, "I am the best player in the world, and I am going to go and win this league for Arsenal." That picture, for me, that's those two guys who I have no doubts in this next couple of months that these guys are going to perform for us. Absolutely no way.
Yeah.
They are going to perform for us. And I think you look at the Virgils and the Trents, those guys will believe that. I still feel we have too many players in our squad compared to a Liverpool who are just a little bit like, still got something to prove, still maybe don't see themselves in that light. And yeah,
I don't think that's the reason why we won't win a league, though.
No. I'm not saying that, but my point is he's coming into a squad that believes they're winners.
I mean,
that's who Slot's inherited.
Yeah, he's came into a squad that was in a title race last season. It's as simple as that, isn't it? So, like, the environment is a lot better, and that's why you can't compare it to Mikel and his first season. When you look at the experience both have had and also what they inherited, it comes to those simple facts. He's doing a fantastic job. We can't knock it, but I don't think this is something to kind of use as a tool to hit Mikel with when you're referencing when he came to Arsenal in particular, and
not at all. And he's building a squad of those winners and those guys with that kind of winning energy to them.
Yeah.
But you have to win something to believe that. And these guys have won stuff, and they believe I'm telling you, there's not a doubt in Virgil, Trent, Salah's, Szoboszlai, these guys, and they haven't necessarily won stuff at Liverpool, but there's not a doubt in those guys' minds.
Yeah,
there is a doubt, I feel, in some of our players that we're going to be the guys to go and do it, and I think that is one of the factors. Alejandro says, "Do a bet between you guys." I'm presuming this is referring to Isak. Should we do a bet?
Yeah.
Okay. If Newcastle don't get Champions League, let's just do that. I think Arsenal will sign Isak, and I bet you 20 quid.
Yeah, I'll do that.
20 quid.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Virtual handshake. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We have to remember that. I'm going to write that down.
I pay my debts.
20 quid, 13th of Feb. If Newcastle...
I'm not doing
£100. Don't get UCL. Isak signs versus not 20 quid.
It's conflict of interest for me now.
Why?
Do I want that 20 quid so badly?
What do you want more, 20 quid or Isak to sign?
Oh, I'd want Isak to sign for sure.
Come on, now you've done the fan debate. You're big time now. A bit more cash. Absolutely not. Arjun says, this is why an experienced director of football was needed ASAP. Who is your pick? I can't lie. George seems to know more about this than I do. He knows all these people, Alabe and whatever. The only thing I'd say is I want someone with experience just for my brain. And the thing is like we might sign the next Luis Campos or whatever. I think City have signed Hugo Viano, who's like 40 something. We might go and do that, and then he turns out to be a genius. But just from my nervous fan perspective, I want someone experienced, and I want someone who's been there before, who's won stuff before. That's why I look at someone like a Luis Campos. Also, someone who can, I've said this before, get us in those conversations about not yet, but we should have been in the conversation of where Bellingham goes. We should have been. We should be in the conversation. Where's Florian Wirtz's next contract? We should be in the conversation. Where's Jamal Musiala's next contract? I'm not saying we win those. We win that, and obviously there's better options out there for players in terms of Madrid's and Bayern's or whatever. I get that. I'm not saying that, but to be in those conversations, I would love that. I think that's achievable. As you said earlier, the biggest club in London, absolutely, in my opinion. If we go and win something, I want to be prepared to be. There's the biggest talent in the world. Maybe we don't get them, but we are absolutely in for them. The only player that I felt that was Declan Rice. That's the only player, and I think it's because he's English, frankly. Yeah. I want to be internationally in those conversations for the best talents in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I again, I don't know enough about, what directors of football are, the best fit, but I've always maintained that it needs to be someone who's
Get off the channel.
It needs to be someone that's not a contrarian, but isn't a yes man, and it's that fine balance. He needs to have a vision that is in line.
No, it doesn't.
It needs to be someone who lines in with the vision of Mikel, but has the willingness to challenge him and tell him that these decisions aren't the best ones, and using his own experience to be able to give that as evidence to say you're not doing the right thing here. I think that's very key. This is actually so important in terms of the next stage of Arsenal in the project. You've got to give it to someone who has experience. Like I've always been on board with the Mikel idea in terms of bringing someone in who theoretically looks like he is the perfect fit. And then we've seen what he's been able to do. But I don't believe you can now go again and bring someone who theoretically could be a good fit. You need someone who has that know-how and that nous. Like, it's, for example, when you go to work as a graduate, you're taken on board and you are brought in because you have done really well at uni, you've got a good mark, and you've got good experience as well on a placement, for example. But you're still very raw. You can't bring another graduate to then teach you, who theoretically again looks good on paper, but they need guidance. They need someone who has got that experience and that know-how, who knows how the industry works and how you tackle different problems. And that's what Arsenal need as well. So that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I hear that. TKCR says, I love Isak as much as the next guy, but I do truly believe filling out the squad and buying Benjamin is ultimately the better option. It's completely fair. I think as we discussed before, I think Šeško isn't the finished article, but I think within 18 months...
You're not arguing that, though, are you? You're just arguing that
he's going to be one of the best players in the world. Yeah. But it just depends which way you want to go. And if Isak is 150 million, absolutely. Go with Šeško and go and fill out the squad. I completely don't disagree with that at all. Vijay says, Arsenal, thank you, TK. Vijay, thank you as well. Arsenal first 3 season sales, £75 million plus, and COVID losses. Liverpool with Klopp, first 3 seasons with Klopp, £300 million in sales, plus they get Salah for 35 million, Sane for 30. Context goes out the window with some. Yeah, I do think this is there was like some magic in the air when Klopp came into that club in terms of that sale for Coutinho, getting Salah and Mane in for that kind of money. But that's what you're up against. That is what you're up against. And I think at some point you have to say, okay, if they got Michael Edwards, instead of us going, well, they've got Michael Edwards, let's not bother. How can we be different? How can we do it in an Arsenal way? How can we, is it how I was promoting our youth players? They don't have Miles and Ethan. They don't have Max Dowman. Can that be our way of making that balance up? Which is why I've been pushing the youth thing before. You can't all be brilliant scouters like Brighton and Bournemouth. You can't all be brilliant sellers like Liverpool. You have to find your own way. And I think we are beginning to with the youth players.
And one of the big things I think from this season that is a positive, if we can look at the injuries as a positive, it is the inclusion of Miles and Ethan, right? Now we both, I think everyone being fair, right? And even the biggest Arteta fan should recognize that he would not have given these two the number of minutes that they've had so far had we had other players available. And now we have seen two talents who have played in very big games thrive and deliver a level of consistency that not many felt they would have been able to do so immediately, and that's the big positive that has came from the season so far. We've got £200 million talents that have showed that they are absolutely ready at this level to give Arsenal what they need, and also Arsenal to build their squad around those two. Like for me, I actually think unless it's an insane opportunity that you can get like a Musiala, for example, I don't think Arsenal should sign a number 8/10 outside of with Zubimendi likely to come in. I really do think Miles, Ethan, Erdegaard, and then you've got your other options as well, who aren't traditional like 8s, 10s, is enough for me to be.
I agree with that. And do you know why? I was watching Bellingham the other night. I was like, that's the level.
Yeah, that level.
So unless you can sign Bellingham or the next Bellingham, go about it a different way. Sign you either need wherever you are. You don't have to copy anyone. You need to look around Europe and say, and this is why I talk about Isak. He is a cheat code. So if he's available, you do it, and at a sensible price, sensible 120 million is not sensible. But you know what I mean? Not 150 or 160. That's why I look at Isak, because Bellingham, you could sign every other midfielder on the market, you don't get Bellingham.
Yeah,
and that's what we're up against ultimately in the Champions League, etc. So. For me, unless you get a Musiala or Havertz, whatever, don't go and sign someone else for no reason.
Unless it's the top percentile talents out there, your Pedris, your Bellinghams, your Musialas.
Go do something else.
Your Miles. Have faith in the talent that you have. You know, it's what Arsenal have done very well. Over the years as well. In their best of times. So,
it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Vijay says also almost 70% of Liverpool's goals this season is from Salah. And this, attacking talent. I can't help but look at, let me see if I can find it on the fly. That graphic from Scott Willis post Newcastle.
Touches? Or?
No, it was about Martinelli. No, I can't. It's this one. It's the running XG across the. Here we go. This is exactly what I mean. This is the difference. So this is the running XG across the games against Newcastle. Attacking talent. That is the difference. It's not. I'm not revolutionizing. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this, right? But like, that's what we need to sign. Attacking talent. That's it.
Do you know what it is, right? Again. Going back, let's go away from the tactics, right? Let's say Arsenal have problems against Newcastle, which they absolutely do. It's their kryptonite. How can you counter that? Let's say you still find yourselves having the same tactical issues. How can you kind of paper over those cracks? It is by bringing in quality. Like you look at the big moments that Arsenal have missed in those games against Newcastle. Just the chances, they're massive, and that's where you can change the tide.
For this, I know the tweet for this. Keep going.
But it's like. It's like Arsenal need to be Arsenal needs to be able to win games when they are not at their best, or when they are against teams that are just they just can't get past. And Newcastle seems to be that team for Arsenal so far. That's it. This is it. This is since the start of 22-23. And some people argue that Liverpool Anfield game is unfair. I mean, I think that second half, what Liverpool did to us, I don't know how we managed to come away with a point there. But it's because we went 2-0 up, so that's that argument. But the reality is that it's a very small sample size of games, which I look back and I think to myself, Arsenal didn't play well, but we still managed to win the game or get something from the game. It's only these games, like,
and and I like Leeds completely agree.
Yeah,
Chelsea away. What was that?
That was the Rice screamer after Sanchez.
Yes.
I didn't think we deserved anything from that game, not gonna lie.
We were a bit fortunate, but it's not the kind of game the game I'm imagining is where we have no control over the game and we scam something.
Okay.
I think that game we fought our way back into it.
Well, then maybe it's only Leeds then.
It's maybe. Do you know what I mean? Like those games where you are playing absolutely horrific, and we just wouldn't under Arteta. That's how good we are. We just wouldn't play that badly. But you're absolutely right. And ultimately, I think this comes down to attacking ability. What you could put games in, take games out. It comes down to attacking talent. that ball dropping to Salah last night, that touch and finish, that's not system. That's not where should Odegaard stand on the pitch. That's not body position. That's not half spaces. That's not overlaps. That's not timing. That's just talent.
It's just quality.
That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just talent. It's ability. Forget the Isak conversation, says Benji. Williams or Semenyo?
Yeah,
every day. Let's do last week. Can you have 5 more minutes? You were late, so
yeah, 5 minutes.
You want to watch The Apprentice? I watched that one when they were in Austria.
Yeah,
they're a bunch of mugs.
It's good TV.
I also hate how expositional it is. The whole thing. It's like, so we didn't make we lost we it cost £300 and we made £250, which means we made a loss of £50. Back in the boardroom, it's like, Jesus, we get it. Yeah, you made it's so like,
yeah.
Okay, you understand.
Peak Apprentice was when Tom Skinner was there. That was peak Apprentice.
Let's do 5 minutes of complete free for all. Could be football, could be not. Totally up to you. 5 minutes.
Could be anything.
So get your questions in, and we'll do like quick fire. Could be, so it could be football, could be not, but quick fire. TKCR says, with some rumours speculating we place one out of position at centre forward, 1, do you think we'll see it? And 2, who would you want to see? Would be Calafiori for me. Marino.
I'll tell you what, right? I was thinking about this at work. It's not ideal, okay? Before the chat gets on it, it's not ideal. However, when we look at Raya going long and then that kind of release valve, Marino is fantastic in the air. He's absolutely fantastic. And also, when you talk about a player who in every single game, Marino, I think has the jury is still out of Marino, right? In general, and I think that's fair. But what Marino has consistently given in every single game is that he's had at least one big goal scoring moment in every single game. Now, I'm not saying it will be my first.
He's missed most of the time, but yeah,
he's missed those. But it wouldn't be my first choice solution. But it's something that I think I'd actually be open to that. I actually don't think it's that wild. But
yeah. What's your guys' Nando's order?
Okay, right. 4 boneless fries, broccoli, peri salted chips, Coke Zero.
Tell you what, broccoli's such a good shout. People will laugh at you for that, but the broccoli at Nando's is unbelievable. Yeah, it's such a good shout.
An underrated one is the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese is actually really nice.
Or like they used to do like the grains, like with like a bit of feta cheese in it.
Yeah,
that was good.
Not a fan of feta cheese though. Not a fan.
But in that little sort of grain concoction, it was unbelievable. Fino Pitta. If they have something that isn't medium or isn't lemon and herb, I would do that. But either medium or lemon and herb. Like they sometimes do like barbecue stuff. I'd do something like that. Garlic bread and either creamy mash or broccoli or the grains.
Double carbs. You can't go creamy mash and then chips or something though. Like,
I fucking can, mate.
Double carbs.
Elliot Roberts, Alex, when you finally say Arteta out? Never. I love him. I've given my opinion before. If we stop seeing progress, if I stop feeling like he's controlling the controllables, then I'll start to talk about that. We need Rohan versus Alex on FC 25. Have you got FIFA?
Stopped ages ago, like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've not even played. Do you play games now or?
I played Call of Duty end of last year. And I got a girlfriend,
I just don't get time. But what I was on, I was like addicted to Fortnite like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'll see that for you. I see it for you. Whole milk. If you guys could send one of any of you to speak one-on-one with Arteta for 60 minutes, who would you guys send? I would send you. Reason why? I'd shit the bed. I'd just be too nervous. I'd be like, I love you so much. George would spend the whole time boring him about counter pressing or something and wouldn't actually ask any questions. I feel like you would strike.
I have a lot of faults, loads of faults, more faults than pros. One thing I
disagree. Back yourself. You're a lovely, nice boy with a lovely haircut.
I'm very confident. One thing I'd say, one of my best qualities, I'll say, and people said, is that I feel like I could talk to anyone and I could make them feel comfortable.
I completely agree on that as well. I think you are very good at making people feel comfortable.
Like
Completely agree.
even at work, people. I mean, sometimes it is a bit annoying, but everyone will come to me like in terms of like, and then you hear all sorts of stories. Well, people start getting very personal as well. They feel like they can trust me and stuff. I think I could, because I wouldn't make it completely tactical. I'd talk about
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I hear that. I hear that. We didn't talk about Dalman. Dalman debut this season. I don't love it. I can't lie. I don't
Is he
love it.
15?
I don't love it. I really don't love it. I find it a little bit weird. I have
Yeah, I
to
don't
be.
think it's
I
right.
have to be totally honest. I think it's a little bit weird, and he might be Messi. He might be. He might be the greatest player to play the game. I don't know. Messi still didn't make his debut till 16. It's like it's just. I just stop.
Yeah.
We've put ourselves in a bad situation. If I think he's still 14. I don't know. Oh, he might be 15, just 15. Well, that makes a big difference. If we get special dispensation and play in the Premier League, I'm telling you, there's sections of our fans who still be on him, and I just don't want that.
Yeah, I agree. I
agree. Chris, yeah, that's quite bizarre. Quite a bizarre thing to say. What's your favorite meme? Says Alex Osborne. The Sean Dyche utter woke nonsense meme. It's goated.
Yeah, that one's up there.
It's goated.
Mine's gone blank.
What are Scholes and Carragher like behind the scenes? Any juicy info about the overlap? Don't really have anything, unfortunately.
I'm sure they're all nice, but
all right. I mean, I always say this: anyone's nice for 10 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. You can't judge. You can't tell how a person is just one visit, can you? Like,
you really can't. Like, it's like, you see them, you're like, "You're right, mate. Yeah, you're right." And that's it. There's no
Yeah.
Sorry. Is there any juicy gossip? Genuinely, no. And I'd tell you.
Yeah, you would tell me. Told me quite a few things actually, haven't you?
Yeah. Is there any gossip? Not really. No. Don't send Alex Ilar Arteta something about his childhood in France. But Ethan at 15 wasn't weird. It was weird. It was. I remember saying at the time, like, I find this all a little bit strange. I suppose what I think is, I think about myself at 15, which maybe isn't fair, but I'm just like, I was just not even close to being ready to deal with any of that. It's just like
playing Simpsons Hit and Run. Go to game though, wasn't it? Go to game.
Rohan, when we take Mr. Frog, can you change your picture?
That's
my first ever headshot when I was an actor.
It does need a cut. Look at it. It's like,
how many likes for a hairline reveal?
Well, you can see a bit.
No, but how many likes for a hairline for a full one of those?
Never. It's fine. It's generally fine.
No, we believe you, mate.
Well, I need it. Look, it's gone. The fade's completely gone. It's just off.
Yeah, you look quite good with a little low taper, I think.
Yeah, but then I've got to go quite often, don't I? So
how old? Genuine question. I think I've asked this before, but I want to know. How old do you think I can be before I have to get rid of this?
See, I hear this conversation a lot. No, just in general, how old should you be before you can't have a fade? Like,
you can't be having a fade at like 60. Do you know, there's got to be a cut-off.
Well, I mean, if you've got any hair at 60, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, true. I'll be gone, mate. Look at this. That's going.
Yeah, but what's your family genetics like? Mine's pretty good, so mine's going to stay for a bit.
My dad was thinning out. My granddad had a full head of hair. He was top.
Yeah.
Thinning, but not gone.
Yeah.
I think like if you're in your 40s, you can't have a fade, can you?
Yeah, you can't. Well,
it's going down. Jury and timber.
Yeah, you know what is right? I don't like to be mean, but you know when, like, for example, Tim Lewis. I know it's not nice, but you have to have some awareness and just got to shave it off. Like, if it gets to that stage, you'll look way better, won't you? Really? Like, I don't want to get into the topic, I know, but like,
yeah, bless him. I do feel bad because it's just come on.
Quite off.
TKCR says, how many subs to feature on the pod? Well, we were good at so. It's the end of the show, so I feel like we can mention this. I said to Rohan earlier, why don't we get someone on the show? Because we used to do this back in the day. If you watch like TDK live back in the day, proper back in the day.
Yeah, we did.
This is how we met Forder. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
yeah. To be fair, yeah, that's
So we used to put the StreamYard link in the bio, and then if people wanted to come on, they could come on. I think we should do it. I think it'd be funny.
yeah, it's a bit risky.
It is risky, but also like, so what? It'd be fun. What's the worst that could happen?
You know what the worst could happen. Very
I,
bad. Could
I
be
think
very bad.
I think what we should do is say turn your camera off. I think we should say you can do it, but you have to have your camera off because you can't scar everyone forever with your camera off. You could say some mad stuff, but we could get rid of you quite quickly. But if the video members only is quite a good shout actually. Members
Yeah,
only. This is a great shout.
yeah, that's
Ultra
a good
Gamer.
shout, actually.
It's a
That's
great
good
shout. I think we should put it in the members only in the Patreon side of things. We'll put it in the Discord.
That's a great shout, actually, because then it's very safe. Well, it's as safe as it can be, really.
Safe as it can be. We'll put it in the Discord, I think, mid-show, and if anyone's available. I think we should do that next week.
Yeah.
I think we should. Should we do 2 more questions, and then I'll let you go, Rohan, because you're probably wigging out, aren't you?
He's got plaster on it. I don't even know why it's still bleeding.
Your
Look at the tissue. Look at the state of the tissue.
Lee Gunner. I'd love to check. Can I just say, Lee Gunner's...
He's been really on my case recently.
I'll get over it. Lee's stinker and hooked thing is objectively funny.
It is actually funny.
That's objectively funny. And his what phase is blank in is also objectively funny. He said it for the Plymouth manager the other day.
Yeah. Do you know what? Some of the stuff he does say is funny. I can't deny. Like it does make me laugh. Like yeah. He's been coming at me though, but I don't really care. It's fine.
You don't really care. You've only mentioned it 4 times, but you don't care. Second to last question, Rohan, how's your illness?
I'm good now. Yeah. It's a bit annoying though, because I've not gone on a run for like nearly a week and a half now. Just annoying, but I'll get on that on Saturday. After that 7-0 win against Leicester, I'll be on a run.
GL block cam. What does that mean?
No idea.
Right, last question. Come on. Homes to go to. I'm at my house, but homes to go to.
There is a question here though. There's a general one from.
If I bought a Patreon, is there a way to get YouTube membership? I would not to affect my bottom line, but just buy one. Just get just do one or the other, and you'll get access to everything either way. Or have both. Hey, don't let me stop you. Do you know what I mean?
Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. Here we go. Which player could you take in a fight at Arsenal? There's not many.
So you can't pick. You also can't pick someone like Ethan, right? Because they have to be around your age. They have to be around your age or older. That's the.
Can I say?
I'd take Rob Holding on. I'll tell you now. If I stop, Rohan. Stop. Stop.
I think Zinchenko. I think I'd have.
Oh yeah.
I'd have Zinchenko. Or Sterling. Sterling's got no fight in him. He's got nothing.
He'd use his. Yeah, I was going to say something wild. Actually, no. Let me stop.
Okay. I think I'd take Zinchenko.
Sterling. Yeah. Trossard as well. Yeah, take Trossard.
Trossard. We're so knackered. Just be done.
Yeah, he just doesn't sleep. It's like Simicast as well. Simicast doesn't sleep. Trossard doesn't sleep.
Right, we'll finish there.
Yeah, Jorginho's another shout. But give me Rob Holding. If he was in that squad, I'll take him. I'll do it.
Chaffy Cakes or Jammy Dodgers? That's a good question. Sorry, right, we'll finish.
I'll be Jammy Dodgers.
I was a proper Jammy Dodgers boy when I was a kid.
Yeah, Jammy Dodgers.
I was so skinny and small when I was a kid that my mum used to buy me Jersey milk. Do you know what that is?
Jersey milk.
Do you know what Jersey milk is?
Oh, someone told me this before. Isn't it? It's like very like nutritional.
It's got like higher fat and protein. So I used to she used to feed me up with it's this stuff. This is Jersey milk. It's like proper. They say it's not like you have whole milk and then you have Jersey whole milk. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like cream to try and feed me up. I was tiny.
pretty skinny. I 6 years ago, I weighed like 50 kilos.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely have had this conversation before.
All right, we're digressing.
Yeah, we're done. Right. Yeah, Jersey Dudek all day, mate. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back next Thursday at 7:30 or 7:32, depending on when Rohan decides to turn up. Thank you for being here. Make sure you check out the Youth Pod, which is coming out, which is out now for patrons, YouTube members, but it's out for everyone else tomorrow. We've got Instant Reaction coming on Saturday, which Rohan will not be at, even though he could be. He's literally invited and would be paid to do it. Can I just be clear about the Instant Reactions? Rohan would be paid good money to do half an hour's work, and he just doesn't do it. And we don't know why.
I absolutely hate it. I mean, I really want to go to the game as well. I'm only about 20 minutes away.
It's away. It's an away game. Oh yeah. Oh, he's revealed his location.
Yeah, I mean, people know by my accent anyway where I'm from.
There's some mad comments about milk. I'm just gonna leave them.
God, yeah.
But yeah, check out all the content. Main pod coming Monday as always, and we'll do a scouted. We changed the plan. We were going to do an Odegaard scouted, but we're going to do a Odegaard scouted next week. So obviously the Havertz thing happened. I had to do that. Love you, Rohan.
Love you.
Oh, you said it back for the first time.
Yeah, no, don't know what came out there.
Thanks, everyone. Love you all. Look after yourselves. And yeah, thanks for watching. And thanks for keeping it Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury.
Electrifying.